Three. I can't hear myself. Oh, two, one. Are we live? We're live for episode 5 with my special guest today, Prisca Moyesa of Moyesa & Co. But before we go on to her, let me just remind everybody why we're here today. We're here today because we've created a Vocast series where we interview people in the agency world to get us to share their stories. And the reason we do that is because Pete and we wrote a book called Agencyphonics. It's a global best-selling book on Amazon, 5-star rated by nearly everybody. And we got told by our editor that we couldn't write as much as we couldn't go into much detail on, she wanted us to go into detail on one area and make the whole book on one subject. But we were like, no, we want to cover as many subjects as we can to try and share as much information as possible. The only challenge is that we couldn't really write about everything in one book because it was just not enough space to do it. So we need a whole series of encyclopedias. But this book couldn't really have happened without the help from a lot of people behind the scenes. And one of those people is my guest today, Prisca, who was one of a team of volunteers who helped us work on the Agencynomics brand and also checked the writing on our book to make sure that, everything was flowing well. So I'm really grateful for her today, for all the help that she gave us. And actually, I'm going to start today's episode by just also thanking Wirehive, as always. Agencynomics is a not-for-profit social enterprise. We all give up our time to do this. All our guests give up their time, and Wirehive kindly give up their studio, which is a really kind donation from these guys, because obviously they donate staff to help. We've got Simon today producing the show, and we're truly grateful for that. My guest also, I've had a couple other interactions with her over that she was very kindly came on a panel we did one of our Agencynomics events about a year ago. And we covered the subject of agency owners as social influencers and talking about the role really of an agency owner now becoming more of an influencer in their own way. And I interviewed her on stage, and Jazz, who did all the illustrations in our book, she sketched Prisca, and I promised her that day that I would get her a copy of that sketch and get it framed. So I'm just going to hand this present over firstly because I didn't do it. I'm a year late with this present, Prisca.
Can I open it?
Of course you can. It's the Christmas show. So if you're going to open it, today's the episode to do it.
Oh, this is so kind. Okay. I love the wrapping paper. Okay, we're live.
I just have to thank Abby and Mrs. G for helping make this gift happen. There we go.
And I was just saying, I need to buy a few more frames. Oh, this is so
yeah. If you want, you can just steal the frame and just get rid of the picture. No,
I'm keeping this.
Yeah,
I'm keeping this. Thank you.
So, and thank you, Jazz, for doing the drawing at the time. She was superb that day.
Values, culture, diversity, and youth. Nothing.
That's what you were talking about that day.
And nothing's changed.
Nothing has changed. So,
well, kind of. But also.
So, where are we going to start today? So, I think I wanted to just. One of the things we wrote in the book was there seemed to be this kind of increasing number of people leaving university and starting businesses. Now, when I was younger, those of you who don't know my story, I left home at 16. I started work at 16, but I worked for 11, 12 years, and most of those were 6-day weeks before I even attempted to start a business. Like I had 11, 12 years commercial experience, and then I started a business, and it was so hard. And then I have to now daily come across these agency owners who are people who've literally left university, and Prisca was one of those phone calls I took. I was like, "What? You did that?" And so I really want you to kind of tell us a bit about your story. Right. How did you end up getting to that place where you started a business straight out of university, and tell us about a little bit about your agency, what you did when you first started. Right. Lots of questions here in one go. And just tell us about how that then pivoted and evolved. So, over to you.
I think if you asked me this question 2 years ago, the answer would be, there wasn't enough diversity in advertising and no one wanted to give me a job. And that's the reason why I started it. But when you look back, that's not the reason why you have a business.
Yeah.
I look back and I think about when I was in secondary school and things like work experience. I would always work in places that I knew would help me once I got out of school. So from a young age, I've been very as corny as this is, been very entrepreneurial in my mindset. So I've always thought, okay, I need to pick up skills. I need to pick up these skills because one day I'm going to need this. So again, you know, I went to uni and I didn't know what an agency was when I was in uni.
When you were younger, did you always know that you would have your own business? Or from what age do you think you knew that?
I thought I just knew I would own something of my own, but I didn't know what it was.
Okay.
You know,
but did you always know that? How old were you when you first thought that?
Probably about 14.
Wow, okay.
Probably 14.
Yeah.
But also my mum runs her own business.
Okay.
So when I look at it that way, I think, well, inevitably I was always going to go into that path because my mum is a businesswoman. She's had a business for over 10 years and she sells food. So
so she's a role model in terms of entrepreneurial life. And
I kind of had direction in that sense. I had guidance. I had my mum to say, well, you know, work full time, but also build your business on the side. So now we fall into the whole cliche. I went to uni and I just thought there were so many issues with marketing at the time, especially with regards to diversity. Yeah. And I never felt represented in advertising ads.
So when you were studying, did you see how bad it was then? Or do you mean just generally in just everyday life, the lack of diversity that exists?
When I went to uni, I started seeing it more because I went to uni in Canterbury, which is predominantly white. Yeah. So that's when I really woke up to it. And
so you like grew up in like northeast London, well, sort of northeast London. It's sort of that area. Yeah. And then you go to Canterbury. Yeah. It must have been a culture shock.
A little, because I grew up in Dagenham. Yeah. Well, I went to school in Dagenham. It wasn't a culture shock, but it was an experience. It was eye-opening. And then I did a dissertation on the lack of models of colour on the runway. Yeah. And I featured Naomi Campbell, Beth Ann Hardison and Iman, and they are mainstream models and actresses. So from that point, it kind of, I started waking up to the fact that there was an actual issue that not only I wanted to tackle, but these amazing people that have already established careers wanted to tackle. Yeah. And then I came out of university, and then, you know, this is my usual story of, I tried to get a job, I couldn't. And again, growing up, I would watch P. Diddy, Jay-Z, all these guys talk about not following the status quo. And then I thought, well, if they don't follow the status quo and then they've launched their own business, then I guess that's the way to go. So I kind of went into it quite naively, I'll be honest. I was quite naive. And I've learned a lot in the last 4 years. But
P. Diddy's a great role model.
He's a great role model.
Though.
He is. Yeah. Because we look at Making the Band, for example. He had a show where he taught people how to create a band out of their talents. And the things he put them through, you could tell it was real business struggles. It was work out or you're going to be out of breath on stage. It was, you need to make money and you don't look good. So this is how you look good so I can make money. And so from a very young age, I already was aware that business was beyond everything people could see. So I was intrigued in understanding what that was. Yeah. But I've always done media. So in college, I studied sociology, communication studies, film and media. Okay. So, and that was in college. And I did really well. I would say academically, I did the best in college because I got A's at my A-level. And A-levels is really hard. Yeah. Really, really, really hard.
My daughter's doing them now and they are really hard.
They are really,
harder
really
than
hard.
I think I realised.
They're really hard. So from that age, I already knew what industry I wanted to go into. I knew it was going to be media and marketing, or film. That was just a no-brainer. So when I came out of uni and I couldn't get a job, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start a business that solves a problem.
Wow. I mean, that's quite a brave thing to do. I'm going to start a business.
Yeah.
So how old were you when you graduated? How old were you when you started the business? Is that 23? 20? I always get the years wrong around there. Did you do a gap year?
No, I failed. So
Okay.
I failed my third year, so I redid the year. Okay. And I really can't remember how old I was.
24-ish?
2015,
somewhere around there.
2015 is when I graduated,
okay.
And I'm 27.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. So 4 years ago, 24.
Literally. But I would say I started the business.
24 starting a business, that's brave.
I would say I started the business before I registered the business because I did an event while I was still at uni. Okay. So while I was at uni, I did an internship at a jewelry brand called Astrid & Miu, who are still going today. Right. And I boosted their social media ridiculously. Yeah. So I worked at O2, which is, a phone shop. So I would do 2 days a week at O2, then I would drive down to London and do my internship near White City. And so I would do those two things, and that kind of geared me up to kind of building my business because I already saw how a small business operated. And because it was a team of 4, the founder really brought me in the process. She was like, this is how we make money. This is how we do ourselves. This is how we send out packages. And at the time, influencer marketing was called seeding.
Okay.
It wasn't influence marketing. It was send these bloggers these stuff, email them, get a review, put it on our social media. So I was already quite geared up to starting my business. Starting my business, I was okay. It was when it gets real that it became quite difficult.
Okay. So I was going to go back. So you've said you've started the business did you actually register a limited company when you were at university?
As soon as I graduated, yes.
As soon as you graduated,
yep.
Okay.
I registered straight away.
And so were you called Moyesa and Co from day one?
Yep.
You were? Okay.
Yep.
And
I asked loads of.
And where were your offices? Like, you weren't in Canterbury? Could you move back to London by that point?
Yeah. So I was working from home, but one of my friends owns a tech, which is now like a tech creative company, called Kamuzi, and he had an office in South London. So so I worked with him during that time. Just as like 2015, I worked with him, but also he would let me use the space to do my own thing. Yeah. So I was based in South London a little bit. And
did you have a client? So you had one client because you had the event thing, but then where were you did you have any more clients? I mean, like, because again, a lot of people start agencies, they leave jobs where they've got big networks and they've got.
I became a consultant. So I kind of would like say to people, I've got an idea for you, pay me. And it wouldn't be a lot. It was like £30, £50, £100, £150, £250, £350. So subtly I kind of grew, but I was a consultant, and that's kind of how it started until I would say 2017 when I had the Big Brother client. Yeah. But in 2017, I was kind of going through my own issues. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to run the business. I was kind of tired. It was getting hard. Yeah. Like I would go to conferences. I would be on panels.
It is hard.
Yeah, I'd go to conferences, I'd be on panels, and I'd ask like advertising experts that work at Ogilvy. I'd be like, okay, so what do I have to do to, grow my agency? And they'll be like, you have to build your network. And I was like, okay, but I don't have one. And I was like, well, okay. So I kind of was quite confused. So I got a full-time job. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to run my business and do this full-time job. I'm going to earn a lot of money, but also put a lot of energy into this and see which one which one outweighs what. And I guess we can say now that Moyesa and Co outweighed that, but I had the Big Brother client while I was working full-time in a hospital. And because it was so busy and we got so much traction from that campaign, because we grew that organically, everybody started.
So that's part of your story, right? I think we've missed that a little bit here. But you got TB, didn't you?
Yes.
At one point.
Oh my God. So this is so.
That's pretty serious
stuff. It's a
stuff.
funny story because I had a media teacher called Pianki. He was so rude, but he was so amazing. And I got tuberculosis when I was in college. So the first 3 months. So I was studying media, sociology, and law. Yeah. And my media teacher let me do my test in December, but I got TB in like October. Right. So I was out for 2 months, but they made the whole college get a test, but I was the only one missing. So it was like, so when I came back, Pianki was like, so you left and you gave everyone TB. I was like, thanks. But I got TB and it was quite serious.
Yeah, and you were okay, but you recovered like quickly from that, and it didn't. Or was it something that kind of sticks with you a little bit? Or
it stuck with me for a bit, but I think it made me take my health a little bit serious because it affects your lungs, and both my lungs were black.
Did it change your outlook on life a little bit? Because it is quite a life-threatening disease.
I felt like I was dying. I'll be honest, it was quite painful. It felt like cancer. I mean, I've never had cancer, but you see, as people describe cancer, your body's shutting down every day. Yeah. My body was shutting down, and I had to take like 9 pills a day. Yeah. And I think having those experiences, they just make you think you need to take life seriously. So I came back from college, did my media exam, and I got a C. I was like, I've got a C, and I barely was here. So I was like, I understand this stuff. I know this stuff. Let me focus. If I focus, I can get somewhere. Yeah. And my teachers were like, I had a teacher called Toby Marshall and Pianki, and he was my communication teacher. And I had another teacher in film. His name was Chris. And they all inspired me. They were all men, and they pushed me like to levels that I never knew I could attain. And having those people in my life definitely made a difference. Yeah. And when you look back, you think it's you, but really and truly it's these people that pop up in your life that keep you going.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite interesting because it's not really a subject I guess I was going to think about talking today, but this role model thing for me, if you're trying to encourage more diversity, in the agency world, right? Just generally agency world. So it's a big thing. The media were going on about it all the time. Our own industry press, obviously, and so Do you think that but it didn't seem to affect you really in a way, the lack of role models? You kind of ran your own race to get it started. You've driven yourself, or were there people that inspired you?
There were people, but no one was hyper focused on marketing and advertising and changing what it looked like me in the UK.
Yeah.
I only saw that in the US. Okay. So I started looking at other agencies and watching their videos and using them as like cyber mentors.
Yeah. So anyone in particular over there? Do you remember?
Laundry service. Okay. They actually sold recently to Wasserman.
Yeah.
Wasserman,
yeah.
Wasserman.
Yeah.
And they literally do basically everything we do. And he's a young guy, and he would work with Beats by Dre and things like that. So I would pay attention to what he did, and he sold like last year. So so since then, I just knew.
So then the role model kind of thing was important to you in a way, and it wasn't over here. You had to go to America to find it. I had to go to America to find it
until like 2 years ago or a year ago when I met. I don't know how I met Agency Collective, but then my focus was more on the mentors I have here. And then I met my other mentor, Ade, who runs Women in Marketing. Okay. And so then I was like, okay, there's people here that exist, but I had to boost myself and I had to look elsewhere and look on the internet for that support. Yeah.
So I guess as you're networking more and more, these things start to uncover. I mean, I still uncover things every day in this industry, and there's some great work being done by people in London at the moment. And it's, and I'm surprised, never heard of half these organisations. So it's a good thing. Yeah. So tell me about when you first started. What was the vision for the services that you were going to offer the world in your agency? Mm-hmm. Was it because you obviously grew up in very much the heart of this social media kind of boom, I guess, in a way. You're sort of 2015, and so the influence things really starting to, you saw it seeding, but you can see that starting to have an impact.
Yeah, exactly. And just to quickly touch on the technology aspect, my big sister went to Brunel and she studied computer science. Okay. So I knew about technology at its infancy.
Right.
So she would teach me how to code because I was just always with her. Okay. And then, so I would pay attention to social media and how it grew. So my focus was always social media because I was so interested in technology. Yeah. And it was just to increase the diversity. At first it was just like, can I see more people that... It wasn't necessarily about people that just look like me. It was people that think like me. Okay. Because I consider myself quite multicultural. So I wanted to work somewhere or see something that was multicultural. And so I was just, I didn't have a focus, but I just knew that I needed to make it like me. Yeah. That was just all I thought about. Yeah. And maybe that's why I didn't have that much direction. Yeah. Because I was just like, as long as I see people that look like me or think like me, I'm content. Yeah. But that's not an agency. That's...
No, I mean,
passion project.
I listened to, I can remember the name of that podcast you're on.
Blackticulate.
It's Articulate, the game. I keep remembering Blackticulate.
My favourite game, by the way. Articulate.
Is it?
Yeah, I played that a couple of years ago at my graduation party.
Well, we haven't got a copy here of the game. Otherwise, maybe next time you come on, we'll film it live. Yeah. So, but I remember listening to you on there, and I can't remember what I was going to say now. I lost my train of thought. It was really good. Too busy thinking about board games, basically. So there was something about that podcast you did. It was a good podcast for anyone listening. You can find Prisca's interview. She does a little bit more of her life story.
My services?
Yeah, your services. So I tell you what it was. On there, you talked a lot about. Do you know what? I've got it now. I've remembered. It's good. I will remember. You were talking about seeing. Almost, you were looking at things as you could see what people were doing wrong, and you were trying to go and tell them what it was. But actually, weirdly, most agencies, in a way, you're kind of finding the client's problem. Yeah, the client has a brand has a problem. True. You find out what their problem is, and then you solve their problem. And the thing is, if you take something to them, then sometimes they're not ready for it. Sometimes they have budget for it. I think obviously they appreciate it, and I think the fact that you're being proactive and you're taking something that's good, but sometimes it's a really hard way because sometimes you have to listen to go, what are your challenges, what are your problems, and then you fix it. And I think when I heard that podcast with you, you were sounded like you were taking a lot of stuff out, trying to, I don't know, I might have got that wrong, but I think
you're 100% right. And now I'm older, I realize I'm intuitive. Yeah. And that's what it was. I see problems. And then I want to solve them for other people. But other people don't. Business isn't like that. Business, you ask people, what do you think your problem is?
Yeah. Even though you know the answer.
Exactly.
Then you
that's strategy. And
Sure.
I didn't really have that. I was young and like, I know what you want. And, you know, people don't always want that. But yeah, literally, I kept seeing problems. Just even if it was things like not being able to sell a bottle of water. For me, it's like, it's not hard to sell something if you truly understand the needs and the wants of the person you're targeting. And because I'm quite empathetic as well, I understand what people want without them saying it. I don't know, it's just always been a gift. So I'd be like, well, this person's thirsty and this is when they were thirsty, and you sell water. So if you say this word at this time during this period, you're going to get a sale. But people kind of think that's weird. Yeah. You don't come to them like that.
So what's interesting is you've gone on to this stage, which someone Ogilvy had said you've got to build your own network, and then you found the HC Collective, which for those people listening, about 7 years ago, myself and another company we set up. So what this is? I don't know if you know this story, but it's probably worth sharing. So so when I started doing consultancy, helping agencies grow. There's a certain size agency that I can work with. It's very hard to work with startups because there's the hustle and the grind of those early years you've got to do, which you know all about. Yeah, because I follow you on Twitter, so I hear you talking about it. But people would ring me up and they would be like really upset. It was difficult, right? It's not easy. I mean, it's called the critical survival years for most agencies. You know, that sort of what I describe, maybe the 200 to 700,000 area. It's quite a difficult time because you know you haven't got enough people to deliver all the services. You know, you've got to wear lots of hats. You've got to be the MD, you've got to be the FD, all those things, you know. And so I had a few phone calls come in, and actually I couldn't help people, and I hate not being able to help people because my thing is helping people, right? It's what I do. I help people and connect people. And so they were like, well, can you help my business out? I'm in trouble. And I go, well, I really can't. And so this idea, a few of us got together and we came up with this idea to set up the HC Collective. And the idea was, could we help people get to the first million in turnover? And could we do that in a low cost way? Could we do that in a way where we could give the information, all the lessons that we've learned, you know, us old men with grey hair, basically, you know, can we pay it back and say, look, these are the mistakes we made. They, you know, you might be able to learn some things from them, whatever. So we created this kind of community to do that. And actually it worked, right? Because I'm really touched today because actually I know that, you know, you found that organisation. Obviously, you know, Pete and I are no longer involved with HC Collective anymore, and we left to write the book and sort of, you know, move on to to what we're doing now. But actually, you know, I'm really delighted that you found them because that's what it was there for. And I think, although it took you a while to find it, which obviously a bit, but you got there, and we met there, right? Because I think one night I was at an event, and you know, you came up and we chatted, and then we did a call afterwards, it worked that you got out there and you networked and you met people, and do you still do a lot of networking now? And speaking, you're here, obviously.
I think last year I did a lot, and then it kind of paid off. It did in a way where it helped with sales, but it put me out there more. Yeah. And then it gets a bit too much, and then I was kind of like, well, content's forever, you know. Like I built it for myself. It's there. Let me now do this for other people. So I kind of chilled and relaxed a little bit, and this is like the first thing I've done in a while. Yeah.
But you had that great story that we met when we spoke last time. You and I don't know what I haven't prepped the you on this, so I don't know whether it's probably. But you told me a great story about how you had this aspiration to work with this brand at one stage. Do you remember? And then you end up being on a speaking panel.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the brand.
But regardless, tell me the story, because it was a really good story though about how to, you know, work with the brands that you aspire to work with.
Oh, I'm trying to remember. And then I was on a panel with the girl. Yeah. Is that the situation? I can't remember the brand. I have her on my Instagram actually, but I don't know. I think I just wrote it. Yes.
It's always a pain being on the camera.
I know
you're sitting here and you can't remember anything all of a sudden. Everything goes out your mind.
But thinking about it, me and my business partner, we you know, as they tell you to do, you write down a list of companies you want to work with. What services do you offer that could benefit them? So we did that, and it was like video content or something like that. And then And then I guess in that sense, that was kind of like manifestation in a way, because I put a lot of energy into like coming up with ideas and stuff like that. And then like last year or this year, I think it was this year.
Do you know what? Just say on that thing, the amount of people that I know that just choose the brands they want to work with and they stick them in a picture frame. And I don't know whether it is manifestation or it's neuroscience, but that subconsciously, you know, you kind of have this aspiration. I mean, I had it. I had like 50 brands or whatever. And at the end of the year, I won 3 of them. And it was like, you know, it was weird how it happened.
It was weird.
So it's always worth trying it, whether it's manifestation or some kind of neuroscience, subliminal, subconscious thing. I don't know. But either way, it kind of works.
Yeah. But I guess there's a little lesson there that in business, it's a mix of that. It's a mix of the patience. That's what, when people say be patient, that's what they mean. They mean put your goals out there, work day by day, but also bear in mind that things can pop up when they need to pop up. But sticking through it until those things you want pop up is very hard. But that's one thing I learned through that. And it was like, okay, so if I just do this with the clients I now know I want to work with and actually put a bit more energy into it, then I can get that. That
so
you
had this you had this brand on your you know, you wrote it down somewhere you wanted to work with, and then suddenly you found yourself
on a panel with the marketing direct. She works in marketing.
What did you say to her?
I told her, I said it like we was, because everyone was asking questions, and I said like this, I was like, coincidentally, and she was like, really? I was like, I know. I was like, this is insane. And then through that, I took her details and she took mine. And although I haven't worked with them, me and her have built kind of relationship, and she works in other stuff now, which actually benefits what I want to do now better. So it was just insane. But many of those things have happened, even in terms of, you know, wanting to go to certain events and then not having to go through the hard work of impressing people, but more so working on myself. And then just contacting those people, just subtly saying hi. And just letting whatever happens needs to happen. And I've realized my network has grown because I don't expect anything from people. I just put my good energy out there. I interact with them as a human being, and then I keep it moving and I focus on what I need to focus on.
And do you get to meet these people in real life? Because obviously you do. So you do kind of still, but you're always seeing the other way around. You're creating your network on social and then you're meeting them rather than going out traditionally meeting people and
Yes.
Would you say?
Yes, that is, but that's not what you should do.
No.
But I think
the truth is you probably should do a bit of both. I mean, because
that's true.
You know, we're human beings at the end of the day, and sometimes you meet someone, you know, it's very different to what they're like online.
That's
and,
very true.
You know, so
that's very true. And I think one thing that made me
it's the smart thing, by the way. Sorry to interrupt you. It's like but I know what you're saying though. You can do too much networking where it takes over your life, and you don't actually, you know, you end up sort of just not really working at all, if that makes sense. Or you can't get your work done. So I think it is, I wrote this thing last week, and I said it is about working hard than working smart with networking. I think you have to optimize and understand in the end where to invest your time.
Exactly.
But you sometimes have to do the hard bit first, and you know.
No, I agree.
Make mistakes.
I agree. I do think you do have to. It sucks that you have to make so many mistakes, but you have to make mistakes. And I think you did a LinkedIn article recently, and you said try it 99 times. And I said, that's a relief to read, because I've tried things 99 times.
Yeah, because everyone gives up too soon.
Yeah, like even little things and when you think about being a business owner, you have to think about how you are in your real life, because as much as we say business is business, your personal life will seep into your business decisions. So things like driving, you know, at 17 I passed my test, but I passed on my 4th go. And it was, but
the best drivers always take more times to pass, apparently.
No, it's true. I passed
first time, and I'm rubbish driver.
I'm an excellent driver. I've driven to Manchester.
See, I told you. That's how it goes.
I love driving. it's just therapeutic for me. But having that mindset.
Business is personal, by the way. Well, I think it is personal.
Tell them.
Yeah, because so like there's a friend of mine called Thomas Power, and it's funny because he was a brilliant networker, right? So when I was starting out, every time I met someone, they would say, you should meet Thomas Power. I used to really hate him because like he was like more networked than me, and it was like really frustrating. But actually over time, I kind of respected the guy, because actually he was, you know, weirdly enough, I've got, we use that Crystal Nose. It's a plugin software that analyzes personalities, and we were almost identical. He's just like a slightly older version than me. But his wife wrote a book recently called Business is Personal. And it was a brilliant book. I really loved it. It explains that we always go through life saying, it's not personal, but it is personal, right? Because we're human. We are still human. We're still our business is us.
Yeah.
People talk about work hard, play hard, but I think for entrepreneurial owners of agencies, especially, or any business, it's integrated work-life balance.
It is.
You're always working. There's never a time to switch off.
I know. I should switch off more, but also I feel like I'm 27.
Yeah.
And when I'm 37, I don't want to work this hard.
No.
So why not do it now?
I think it's a curse. I don't know if you'll ever get away from it.
I don't know. But I just feel like I've got the energy and the passion right now, and I care a little bit less. And I'm young, so why not put the energy into that? I think growing up, we all put the energy into like social life, boys and all that stuff, and it's great, but also it doesn't. If you're not that person that gets motivated by that, then what is it?
But I guess that's my thing about starting a business young. I think you don't normally. I remember there's a great. Do you know Jack Ma guy from Alibaba? He does this fantastic talk where he says, through your 20s, whatever, you're working for people. I mean, you've got, sometimes it's different, 20s, you should be having a good life.
Yeah.
You've got the pressure of running a business. I mean, to be fair, I was 27, 28 when I started mine. So I thought I was quite young too, really.
Yeah.
But actually, I think, you put if you do start a business young, I think you do sometimes put more pressure on yourself almost in a way. But it's still, but then there's still a lot of, if it's what you love and you wake up every day doing what you love, then it doesn't matter, does it?
Like yesterday, my friend was like, what would you, my friend David, he'll be happy that I said his name. He does
name
marketing
check David.
too. Name drop. He asked me, what do you want for Christmas? And I was like,
diamonds.
I know, right? I was like, I'll be honest, as long as Moyesa & Co is in a comfortable place and we're entering 2020 in a comfortable place, I think I'd be really happy.
Yeah,
I'd honestly be super happy. And it's not like I don't have a social life. Like my friends are just crazy like me when it comes to partying and stuff. And I just came back from Paris and I went to the club every night. And so I have moments where I can say, I went to the club 3 days a week, 3 days in a row.
Yeah.
But 9-10 months out of the year, I am working on Moyesa & Co.
So there's a couple of things that one of the reasons I wanted you on here today, one was talk about how early, how do you start an agency so young, and then how do you have the resilience to cope with that? Because it is tough. I did a lot of crazy work stuff going up to the age of 30, and I think it helped me through my 30s with the agency because I had a bit more mental resilience. But how do you find it? How do you cope with stuff? Is it okay? Do you find it easy? I mean, you're in an always switched on world, right? Probably even more than me.
Yeah.
Judging by the number of tweets you do per second.
I would say it's hard.
Yeah.
But I have great friends.
Yeah.
I've known my friends since I was a kid, so they know Prisca outside of business.
Yeah.
And I am quite an emotionally in tune person, and people that are emotionally in tune are very demanding when they are upset. So I'll be upset and I'll call my friend and say, I want to cry because of da-da-da-da-da. Some people may not do that.
Sure.
And being able to do that means my friends know how to support me. So I've had a good support network.
Yeah.
And also my mum still runs her business.
Yeah,
and
that's true. So
she's so resilient. The things my mum has been through are insane. And she has dominated a field that I didn't even know was possible. She redefined that for herself in our community.
What advice does she give you, your mum? Does she have some pearls of wisdom?
In terms of business, business phone. She has 3 phones.
Does she?
Yeah. And she said she always, I recently got another business phone.
Oh, so you have one for home, one for work, or?
Yeah,
no?
At first I had just one phone. And all the notifications, all the accounts we used to manage, all of the emails used to go to one phone. And as much as it, was a small nugget, seeing her really pick up one phone during these certain hours, even yesterday I was
why 3?
Because she's just, mum does the most. Well, she has
2 businesses.
She has business in Europe.
Okay.
So one phone she uses a Leica so that her European business can come through there. One's her personal phone and one's UK business. So just having that, and she was just make sure you do that so that you can, what's the word everybody uses? There's a word when you just refocus, so you can focus on one thing and then around 8 p.m. you can go on Facebook. That's kind of how, that was the best advice she gave me.
I really like that. And it's not something I talked about much, but one of the things I did the same thing with my business. It took me a while, but I obviously used to be back in the day. We had Blackberries and iPhones.
Love BlackBerry.
Yeah, they were my client. My biggest client, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, so, see, guys, all my friends that are listening.
Yeah,
look at who I'm with.
They were. Well, I built. We built them a Facebook page.
Wow.
In 2009, they paid £20,000 for a Facebook page.
That's insane.
Because that was like the new thing to do then,
wow.
So, and it was quite complicated. Not really, but anyway.
Well, it still is though.
Yeah, it was. But anyway, the thing is I had the BlackBerry was the work phone, and then the iPhone was the holiday phone. And it took me, and I used to then hand my work phone to my colleagues, and I'd say, right, here's the work phone, and I would go away. And so if it rang, they would say hi, and I think I probably should do that again, because what I now do is I have to delete every app. So I have to delete all the social media off. Otherwise, I will just, start looking at the phone. So I think it's probably a really good business tip.
It is a really good business tip. And I think it's changed the game for me. So when I meditate, I only take, let's say I want to go meditate. Maybe I might take the business phone because I know it might be quieter than my phone. But people can still reach me. My friends have my business line in case they actually need to reach me. So it definitely was a good tip.
You just get that button that you press where the notifications go off when you meditate.
Do not disturb.
So how do you meditate? This is a pivot here, but what do you use an app, or do you?
No.
Music?
No, I walk to the park.
Walk meditation.
Or I just let my thoughts flow.
Yeah.
I don't fight my thoughts. If I want to scream, I scream.
And how often? Is this a routine, a day thing?
I do it at least 3 times a week. I do it somehow.
Yeah.
I've realised that I do it 3 times a week, just naturally. But
have you heard of street wisdom?
No, I haven't.
So we came across this thing. We're actually going to do an Agencynomics event this year on it. It's street walk meditation, and it's kind of this I think it's a social enterprise. It's all free, and you can sign up on the web, and then they have these walks around London, and it's all very mindfulness walks. So you kind of notice and observe, and you focus on the sounds and the sight. It sounds really good.
I would do that.
We're going to do an event next year. Come join us.
I'm coming.
Yeah, it'd be good.
And it gives me peace of mind. Doing that just gives me peace of mind, because it's just me and nature, and it's just me and the sky. It's just me, and even if it's cold, I like that. See,
I think that's really important for anyone in business who's trying to have resilience. I think, everyone talks about it a lot, but, taking time to meditate. I mean, I've really got back into it this year. I've meditated.
Really?
Yeah, I think for at least 4 months, every single day.
But
good. Now I'm down. The problem I find is if I meditate before I have to go on a run, it's a bit weird. I'm just a bit too zoned out.
Yeah, no, it has to. I do it after the gym.
So it's sort of 3 times now, like you said, and kind of rotate it around. Although this week's been really bad. I think I meditated once, but
it's also letting your body fall into it. It's sometimes I fast, but I don't forcefully not eat. My body would be today, it's right now, I'm fine. You're good. So I think I do those different things in my day, and the music I listen to has changed as well. So I have playlists that just focus on. Do
you listen to Dire Straits now?
To what, sorry?
No, exactly. No. I just picked a really old band for you.
Recently,
my business partner Pete loves Dire Straits.
Send it to me, because it's probably good.
I probably won't. Don't worry.
But recently I've been really into jazz.
Yeah.
Because there's no words.
Yeah.
So the meditation music is sometimes a bit too go here. It's my mind's too busy for that. But when you hear jazz, it makes you think and feel positive things.
Yeah.
So meditation for me is about getting out of the negative and flowing into the positive. That's just how I see it.
Do you do affirmations?
Yes.
You do? Every day?
I do. Every day.
Do you journal, or?
I journal every day. I've got my massive book that I've been journaling in, and I definitely journal every day, and it's helped me tremendously. I can't imagine how my mental state would be if I didn't journal.
I went through a bit of an unhappy phase. Well, I just felt like I was a bit miserable on the inside sometimes. And I used a 5-minute journal. Tim Ferriss used to plug it. You know Tim Ferriss?
Yes.
Yeah. And so I did mention this actually. The last interview we released a clip called The Dory Book, because the Skin and Blister, the sisters that I interviewed on the last episode, which you haven't seen yet.
Not yet.
They have a book where they write down all of the For every bad thing that happens, they basically it takes five good things to remove that negative. So they have this Dory book. It's got like a Dory fish on the front, and they write down all the nice things people say about them or the customers say about them. It's a fantastic idea. So I started journaling, and it just transformed. It transformed how happy I was. It's weird because all of a sudden it reminds you to be grateful, right, for what you have. And so actually now I do daily. I do have like a daily gratitude list. Right. And I think the trick I've learned recently is you're not grateful for what you have and what you've had, but you try and be grateful for what the outcomes you want as well. And actually, it's quite interesting. If things ever stress you out, I'm grateful for the things that stress me out now. And weirdly, I don't get stressed about them. Psychologically, there's some psychologists would probably explain how that works. There is. You know, it's insane you're talking about psychology because I study sociology, so it's, it taps on that. But I'm super interested in we do marketing, we're interested in human behavior, but psychology particularly now. And I've followed quite a few therapists and psychiatrists on Twitter. And one recently said that we put our focus on 90% of bad things. We put 90% of our focus on 90% of bad things, and we put 10% on the 10% of good things. Whereas we need to switch that. And it was Dr. Ramani, and we need to put 90% of focus on the 10% good things, because the world is kind of crazy at the moment. So I also had those moments where I just felt really sad. And and also running a business like this. No one around me does it in the way I do it, or is a black woman in the way I am, and has the values that I have, because I'm quite positive in the type of marketing I want to do. Like, I look back at the projects and they've all been to help the company. It's all been projects. So let's talk about what you do now, because that's a good link there, Prisca. What do we do? So you said when you started, there was an element of activism. To a little bit, because you were a little bit angry, a bit angst about it. But then you shifted. There's a brilliant quote that I sent you from your other. Do you like that one? You said, if you're going to be diverse, you don't need to say it. Yes. Just do it. Just do it. And that was your shift, I think, because that's what you said. So because I realised there's no point me trying to prove I'm this black I am. Like, it's quite obvious. I don't need to shout it. I don't need to say it. I will prove it through my characteristics. So I think our focus moved from trying to prove that point and really just being the people that we are, but extremely intelligent and extremely strategic. So now we do strategy, which is kind of just consultancy, creative. So we come up with creative ideas the creative ideas that we produce. So we do video production. So we'll take a concept and we'll say, okay, well, instead of doing an advert, because I don't really like adverts, let's do a quick social media clip. Well, let's do 7 social media clips. Instead of one big advert, let's do 7 social media clips that you can distribute over the course of 7 weeks, instead of one that you post once on one platform. So that's the stuff we do. But we also do like social media graphics. So like animation, illustration. That's quite new though. Not saying the service is new, but putting it out there as something we just want to do on its own is new. So that's kind of what we do at the moment. So strategy, creatives. So you don't call yourself like content marketing. You sort of avoid that term, because quite a lot of people out there call content marketing agencies, but I don't see you. I see you slightly more strategic, as you say, in some ways, more than just the execution. But you do it. So what was the recent project you did? You had an app. There was a mobile app. Yes, Expo, which was the best. Which is so much fun. Manages influencers. Yes. So is that one of those apps where the influencers go on and then it helps brands connect to? Basically, the problem was that influencers get way too many DMs, because people will see them post something cool and a brand will be like, we want you to do that with us. And they'll DM them, and they're already getting 10,000 DMs already. So Expo is a place where marketers could go and find these influencers, book them on there, have that singular conversation on there, pay them on there, and everybody be kind of happy. So it interested us because it was like, you're solving a problem, and they came to us and they wanted to do an advert, and we were like, no, that's with and the budget wasn't big either, so it was like, no, like let's pick. How did they find you, by the way? So I'm always curious on lead generation. Another Slack group. So I am part of a Slack group called YSYS, which is Your Startup, Your Story. And I've heard of that.
And I guess being in the agency collective group also taught me how to do sales a bit, because I would see that there was different groups about, lead gen or like new business. So when I'd see people ask about something, I'd be like, let's talk. Let's just get in a chat. And I'm very like laid back. Maybe, now we have a bit more of a process to that. But at first it was like, okay, let's just have a chat. I saw like I'm able to talk to people and within 10 minutes figure out what the real problem is and what they really want.
Okay.
So I was like, well, let's get some influencers. Let's tell the story so people know that you stand for influencers that actually do work, not just influencers that just say they're influencers. So then we entered market research. We found these amazing influencers. A bit of sales was done in that, just having to, offer them certain prices and certain things like that, because I wanted to make sure we paid them, because it wouldn't make sense to like do it for an app that pays. So
I have a really good friend, and she does that for a living. She she looks after. So rather than the app, she's like kind of more she knows the people. She knows them really intimately. The individuals, like the group she looks after. Okay. And so I've just seen on her. I'll show you afterwards. But she's just taken a load of people out to a chalet out in France skiing, and it's all been in all the national press. I mean, the whole thing is the PR machine has been amazing.
It's huge.
Like behind it, I didn't realize actually how that could trigger so much, and it seems fairly authentic.
It is. It will depend.
I think it's done quite authentically because it's probably more trusting that way.
Yeah, but also my values are about making sure that I work with people that do put the work in. Because.
No one started sending me stuff to sort of show in front of the camera here yet. There are no gifts of arriving from like, who would send me something? It'd be like, I don't know, like maybe some project management software or something.
Yeah, but
sorry.
Yeah, so just working with these influencers was fun. Just building that, then filming it was fun, and then we cut it up we took like loads of pictures. I wanted to have loads of assets, so because they were a startup, I knew that they needed to have enough to get them to their next round of funding, because that's one thing right? And then so you just created like I think it was 50 pictures and short videos and audio clips, and we did an audio interview that we put on top.
And what channels do they go on to?
So
all channels basically.
I believe they put them on all channels, but the influencers themselves posted it on their feed. And the great thing is we worked with those influencers, and then 2 of the influencers a few months later were featured in Michael Dapper. Do you know Man's Not Hot? Do you not know that? Well, everybody believes they know that. And he's a comedian. He has a show on YouTube. It's a very popular show. Michael Dapper.
Yeah, I have
Big
seen
Shaq.
him. Yeah.
Yeah,
I've seen
so
him.
he does skits. Yeah. So he then featured 2 of the influencers on there. And so it was nice. It was like, so our market research phase was really good because they're also using these influencers too. So that was really nice.
Amazing.
But it took about 6 people saw it like 4 months after we did it, as you do, you know. So everyone was like congratulating us, but we kind of already went through the whole, yay, this is amazing. So it's nice that people do.
So you're 4 years in now.
Yeah, I feel like I'm starting.
What's the vision? Well, do you know, that's interesting to say, because I mean, a lot of people 4 or 5 years ago, and now I'm going to start it. I've been playing for a bit, but what do you have a vision?
Yeah,
like you're quite a creative person. Do you see the future?
I see it more than I can say it.
Sorry,
I see it more than I can say it. But what I can say is that we definitely want to do more strategy and more creative, fun content. I think we're very good at coming up with ideas that aren't boring, but also sell the product. Because I'm all about sales. I have a sales background, kind of. So I'm interested in bridging that gap still, but using creative content to do that. And now the formats have diversified. We've got podcasting, we've got graphic design, we've got video production, we've got photos, we've got GIFs or GIFs. So we're staying in it's definitely GIFs. We're staying in content, but we also don't need to always produce it. We don't mind coming up with the ideas and selling the ideas and being that kind of agency. Yeah. So more creative.
So do you see a big team? Do you see yourself having
Yes. Well, at the moment there's 4 of us.
Yep.
So designer, project manager / assistant, lead strategist, creative, and me, who also is quite creative.
Yeah. Are you all based in an office?
No. So when we work earlier this year, up until the summer.
Yep.
And then I kind of life happened, and I just needed a break from being at work every day.
Yeah.
But we're gonna go back to something next year.
So you're working remotely now?
Remotely, but yeah. You
should listen to the last 2 episodes, because the first person built a 350 person remote agency.
No way.
With 100 full-time staff. And the second Skin and Blister, I can't remember how many people they're up to now, but they're scaling it, with full remote teams.
But there we go.
So that whole remote agile approach is good, but obviously I think
I think for the
upset
leading
people I say
team,
this, sometimes it's nice to have. I think Tomorrow has a main office still where everyone can. It's almost like sometimes you need to have it's not an office. It's just you've got to have a second home or a space where people can just come in and 100%. Spend time together.
And so me and my strategist Dorcas, we had the conversation. We were saying we want a small room where we can go, and if anyone else wants to come, we'll do that. But for us, we need to be there. We need to be in a physical space, because being at home's great and working from home, and I have a home office and everything, so I can focus, but I need to get out more, because you just never know who you might meet on the train. You never know who you might, and that's why an office is good, because the journey to the office can be an experience in itself, and that could boost your business. And that journey back, instead of going home, you're more likely to say, well, let's go out for a drink, or let's go out to eat, and you're more likely to want to network after coming home from an office or at the office than if you're already at home and you're in your robe. So I mean, little things I've done is get dressed at home more, which have helped, but yet still,
So do you see a number in your head? I'm gonna push you on
people?
this. Yeah, do you see a 20 or a 30 or 100?
Definitely.
Do you see it global? Do you see
it's going to be global.
Is it?
That's
Ooh, I like that. You're telling me it's going to be global.
It's going to be global because, I mean, I'm not a French expert, but I can understand it, and I have family that are and my cousin works in an advertising agency in Paris.
Oh, amazing.
So that helps.
I used to have an office in Paris.
Really?
Yeah.
We need to talk.
Past tense.
But yes. Yeah. But definitely it's going to be global, but definitely around 50 to 100 people.
Yep.
So I still want it to be quite...
50 to 100 people?
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to take you to get there?
Well, I want to grow to about 10 next year.
Okay.
By next summer, I want to have 10. So
amazing.
That's already written down. That's something I know that we're going to have a team of 10, because I want to find a full-time, not full-time, but someone who could do our videography and photography regularly, not just kind of outsource it the way we have been.
I think that's really important.
Yeah, because also I have my own visions, and I have content we want to create and stuff. So definitely... but probably by the end of the year, we'll probably be at 25, end of next year, I hope.
Wow, that's a big jump.
But I'm not, no pressure. Know. I'm also I've written down.
I like that you're thinking about it and you've got a plan.
Because that's what we have to do, right? We have to write it down, and even if you're 5 people less.
Go back to it. You're either manifesting it or you're subconsciously building it into your neuroscience, and you're gonna that, but either way you write it down. You don't know where you're going, you're not going to get there, and so you have to write it down, and I think you have to commit to it, and then you've got to get on and build a great business and have fun, but if you kind of know what you're doing and why you're doing it, it makes it easier.
Exactly.
I think.
No, it does. No, it definitely does, because even where we are now, I kind of envisioned it. I everything that's happened, I kind of wrote it down somewhere on my notes. So I know that it works, but also you have to put in the little work day by day. And also knowing that it's not massive leaps every day. Sometimes it's small steps. Sometimes it's one extra person you're having a conversation with about marketing. And then that develops. And that's a hard thing to accept when you're trying to make money. Yeah. And I get why people cut corners, and I get why funding's gone into this whole thing, and I understand it, but also I like business. I do kind of enjoy the nitty-gritty, and also we're very fortunate to live in London or be in the UK and do what we do. Yeah. I'm Congolese, and I know what goes on in Congo, and I'm very
that's a whole nother world.
Very privileged to be able to be this educated and be able to have the ability to connect with different cultures and turn it into something creative, but also make money. So I'm also not that ungrateful. I'm very grateful for where I am, and I'm taking it day by day.
Amazing. Love that. So you know where you're going. Tell me, how did the book help you?
Oh my God. Can we show a page?
Probably.
One page.
I don't know which one. Do you know which one it is?
Yes, I do.
We can do this.
I think I know where it is. So
this isn't staged, by the way.
This page.
Oh, right. The bully client.
The clients.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I mean, because you experience it, but you think you're going through it on your own.
Okay.
And so you internalize a lot of stuff that happens and you take on a lot of responsibility until so I looked at the agency collective group because I'm still part of that Slack group.
Yeah.
And a few of the people were going through similar issues. And I said, okay, let me research this. Then I went on the websites and I started looking at resources. I was like, okay, this ain't just my thing. Then I said, okay, we'll finish the book. And then I went through the book. I said, no way. I've had this book for how long? And I didn't even read that page. And honestly, if I had read it before, it would have saved me a lot of money. And that's a fact.
Yeah.
So I sent the book to my friend, and I think you might have got an extra sale yesterday.
Oh, that was lovely.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
But the book has helped me in terms of dealing with clients because understanding is enough when you run a business. When you don't know,
it's funny because I didn't get really told about those different client types and probably for 8 or 9 years into my business. So I didn't know about it from day one either. But when someone talked about that bullying type client and and the thing saying that they are but also that they are loyal. I always remember one of the first clients I ever had was the client was actually a very ethical brand, but they had a very bullying culture with the agency. And I said to them, when you try and quit that account, they won't let you go because the bully clients are the most loyal. They don't want you to go. They don't want you to go. No, because they're telling you what to do actually because they do like you, but they think you can do it better or whatever. And anyway, and you just have to make sure that you don't take it personally.
Yes.
Because emotionally, you do take things personally. Yeah. You've got to just go, they're just being this way and try and process it and try and make sure they pay for the level of service they expect.
Exactly. And another thing about for example, being loyal, to friends and to people I would speak to, but they're still paying you. But emotionally, I can't take this. You know. So it's knowing that balance. But now I know because in the book you mentioned, you and Peter mentioned, if your account team know what kind of client to expect, it helps. And it really does. Because then it's like, well, if this, my project manager / assistant, she has certain expertise. She's very good at managing conversations. Whereas I'm more like, this is so annoying because I'm the founder. So knowing that, okay, well, maybe certain clients, it needs to go through that person and certain clients need to go through you, or you will have to do a meeting physically every week. It's just being able to know. And that has saved me. Well, knowing it now, I know it's just changed the game for my business. And I definitely think that it's helped me reevaluate our goals as well and understand what kind of agency we want to be. And one thing I do, I mentor kids. So I teach kids advertising. Yeah. And we worked with an agency called Good Agency. Okay. And they only work with charities and clients that work on good causes. And I went to their office and I was like, wait, so a whole agency exists off of just working with okay people. I'm not saying the accounts team aren't difficult, but the fact that the companies kind of stand for something positive, it put things into perspective that you can kind of pick and choose.
Yes, you can.
What kind of clients you want. You don't have to take them all on.
It's funny because Pete and I sometimes worry because, there's always an element of clients being clients and, their expectations are always beyond, it's a service business. You under-promise, over-service, and they expect an element of that. But I think there's a fine line between, not a fine line, but there's a line between someone being demanding and challenging and someone being a really big culture, having a big negative cultural impact on your agency. So, I've been in situations where, people in the agency are all in tears and actually that account is just not healthy. You have to resign that account because you're going to start losing people, right? And in an agency, the most important asset is your team. Yeah. So I think there is, but it's sometimes I worry that people make that decision too quickly. They go, oh, they're just not us. We're going to get rid of them. But actually, I think, and you've got to be a little bit careful.
You've got to stick it through.
Sometimes it's not them, it's you, because you're not. I love what you just said then about your coworker who looked after, who maybe is more project management, because they're going to be. Project managers are much more, there's no emotion, right? So they'll just go, what are the facts? Let's deal with it and sort it out.
Answer
Whereas, people like you and I, we're just like, what? So, but then sometimes the clients want that. They want your passion. They want your enthusiasm. Yeah. But the project manager doesn't quite give that enthusiasm. And they're like, well, what's the problem with them? They're not really that excited, are they? You're like, yeah, but that's because they're a project manager and they're not supposed to be. So I think it's really important, but I like the fact you're figuring those things out. It's good to see that. It's all part of the journey, and there's nothing really that new in some ways, but you have to figure it out your own way.
You do, but also you can listen to others. And I think I was more my own way, and now I'm more, what is the formula?
Yeah.
What has been before me, and what will help, And I saw somewhere that someone had like a packet of like 6 hours that the client pays for prior, and then they may get back and everyone falls into that extra 6 hours because that's how clients are. So as a team, that, and that's why you put it in place. But letting your client know that will prepare them for themselves as well.
Yeah.
And that helps alleviate a lot of issues. And so things like that.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk to you about is actually on the subject of agency influencers, agency owners as influencers, because we did this event and you spoke about it. And I know that you have always been a secret fan of Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk. And I'm outing you.
Gosh.
and we know we did actually talk about this before. This is one thing we did talk about before. We talked about that, he has this kind of Marmite reputation, and I'm a fan too. And I actually really, when I look at what he says and I listen to it, he does actually talk a lot of sense to an entrepreneur, I think, especially because the mindset things but there are obviously some things that aggravate people around the marketing statistics. And I think sometimes the detail isn't always there,
right.
Which I think some people get, and I understand that. So I'm trying to be a little bit hedging here between the two. But actually he's been an influence for you, a positive influence, which I think is really good. Do you know Stephen Bartlett as well? Have you come across him?
Okay, this is an amazing story for you. I was on a panel with the strategist at VaynerMedia last year. And that was like 2 years after I met Gary. So even the fact...
You met Gary too.
Yes, I met Gary at the Drum. Okay. He did like a free event, like when he came to London first. And so that's another experience. Steve Bartlett, my TEDx was with Dom, his business partner. I met him there. So I follow Stephen. We follow each other on Twitter. We've never met, but I've met his business partner and he's super, super cool. But just on Gary, the reason I like him is because one... Not that his story's similar to mine, but it is a bit, although I haven't put that much energy into my mum's business, I do help her sell sometimes. Like I might give her some tips or I might support her in that area. So I've had that upbringing, and my mum was an immigrant. I wasn't even born here. So
where were you born?
I was born in Grenoble, which is in France.
Grenoble, yeah.
Yes. So I relate to him in that way, and he's different, but he's also quite in tune with marketing and the industry and how it moves, and he kind of follows what's real, not just what everybody wants him to follow, and that's what I admire about him. And also I think what he says in his speeches is, I am good for this thing. If you want a calmer entrepreneur, you can listen to them after one another. I don't know why people put so much pressure on one. Like, he's not supposed to be everything. No one's supposed to be everything. He's supposed to be very good at what he does. And then when you want balance, go to somebody else. Why are you complaining about what he's not doing?
Well, I think you do. I mean, the one thing that Gary teaches everyone, and the one lesson that we all have to learn from him is, and I think you have to credit him for it, because I think he's the one that spelt it out for me in plain English to the most amount of people, which is, you've got to talk about the process.
Yes.
Yeah. And you do that. You talk about every day, you talk about the process, albeit even the fact you find gym time, or the fact that you there is but you do talk about the work, the process, what you're going through. And a year ago I didn't do this. A year ago all I did was like everybody else posts. So if you looked at you wouldn't know what I did. I was just someone who liked and shared other posts. And now on LinkedIn I've started to give an example of that with Stephen Bartlett this morning. So I saw him post that he had just finished his, I think it was, I want to say either 58th or 85th, but speech of the year, like talk of the year. And I'm always nagging people to do more speaking events, to talk about the problems that they solve as really as a kind of key piece of thought leadership. And I'm saying do 1 to 2 speaking events a month, right? Which is like 12 to 24, and he's doing like 80. I think it was 80, not 50.
That's a lot.
It is a lot, and obviously. But look at how successful he's been. And
he's doing good.
If you look at the business, and I don't know all the financials inside out, but I certainly see offices all around the world, so I assume a success.
He's growing. And I love Manchester. I go there often to teach. And he's...
But what I'm trying to say to you is do you not feel that you should also become this influence? Like, if you look at Gary Vee and you look at Stephen Bartlett, there's clearly a formula there where if as an agency founder you become more of with a point of view, because actually, if you go back to the Ogilvies and the Saatchi and Saatchis and those guys, they were all kind of quite big thought leaders. They all had quite opinions about the market, and the point of views disappear because people are scared to speak a lot of the time.
People are so scared to speak.
So do you think in the future you'll be much more, what I'm trying to say is, would you think that would be if you could imagine yourself with this agency that you said of 30, 40 people, would you try and push yourself? Because Vaynerchuk runs an agency. Let's not forget that as well.
I know this may be like completely different to anyone else's answer, but I'm a Black woman that's quite young, and I think it doesn't just garner the attention of the people that I want. It also garners a different audience of like, oh, she's an influencer. Oh, you look nice in there, and I don't want to be famous at all. Like I work with famous clients, and their life it's not a great life all the time. So I don't want that. But
it's not famous. It's more infamous. Like I don't want to be famous either. I mean, I'm doing this because a few hundred people.
Because I'm bridging the gap between two cultures.
Yeah,
it's already picked up in my culture, and so it's gonna pick up more. And so it will lead to some type of like notoriety, and the events I get invited to are all my friends that are famous. So if I'm known on the internet and they see me at a party, that's how it happens. But you asking me to do this has pushed me out my comfort zone, and I realized that I need to speak more because there's so much that needs to be said. So I'm gonna go back to podcasting for sure.
Woo!
That's a fact. I've already got an episode that I did.
Okay.
I'm definitely going back to that. So hopefully it builds up. But I do think I need to. I think as much as I don't really want to, I think I need to because my perspective is important. It's important for someone to tell the truth, and it does work for your business.
Definitely.
So
I love that. So thank you so much.
Thank you. I'm so sad this is over, but we're going to continue talking.
Yeah, we will do. And yeah, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I think we've had a really different conversation today.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of areas. I'm truly in awe of anyone who leaves university and starts an agency at the age of 24. And so I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I think there's some things takeaways from this, and I need to get better at writing down my notes when I do this. I really do. But I think the phone thing's a great idea. I think encouraging everyone to have a second phone rather than having to remove all your apps every time you go on holiday, I think is a really, really great. I think we've really reminded ourselves today a little bit. I think the importance of networking and speaking and getting out there and finding, as you're finding these areas. I hope that you do get to be a role model for the next generation afterwards, because I think you'll be good at that one day. Maybe not now.
Mentor, but girls, I mentored 3 girls already, so I already have young girls that have come to me, and then they've gotten jobs in agencies just by my advice that has happened over the last 6 months. So I already do it. I just feel like some things you should just do because you should do silently. You don't always have to say it, but I definitely will make it more of a thing because I feel like people do need some support. And I have the privilege to know people like you and so many other agency founders that have done it properly, not like a joke, like really built their business, then sold the business and connected with other agency founders, partnered with other agency founders. So why not share this knowledge and pass it down? Yeah.
So you've left me one brilliant thing then to end on, which is everyone out there, do your bit to pay it forward. Do your bit to pay it forward in some way, the advice that you've received. And it's just help the next generation or the agency that's down the road that's a bit smaller than you, help them with their progression. I think it's a really fantastic tip. So thank you for joining us for episode 5. It's Christmas now, I think. Well, it's December, but we're getting near to Christmas. So the next episode will be in the new year. I hope you've enjoyed the 5 episodes we've managed to fit in before the end of the year. And we'll see you on the other side. Thank you.